As is widely known, the South Korean Go community recently became the butt of a global joke. Unable to win on the board, they resorted to external tactics, adding rules before the game and showing bias through referees. Their sense of fair play is like a ghost, often talked about but never seen. What then should the spirit of Go truly embody? Many first encounter Go through anime, such as the classic Chinese animation, The Go Kids, or the quest for the divine move in Hikaru no Go. Today, we discuss Hikaru no Go, heralded as a classic masterpiece in the world of Go. With summer vacation approaching, a young student named Hikaru sneaks into his grandfather's storeroom with his childhood friend Fujisaki. Hoping to find something valuable to sell, they instead uncover a blood-stained Go board. Fujisaki cannot see the bloodstains and becomes frightened when Hikaru starts muttering and speaking to an unseen voice, causing her to flee. Hikaru meets Fujiwara no Sai, a Go player from 1,000 years ago, on the board. Once the top player in the royal court, Sai was ousted and falsely accused of cheating by a jealous rival, leading him to drown himself in despair. Yet, his love for Go keeps his spirit lingering in the board for centuries. He encounters a boy named Kotaro and becomes his mentor in Go. Kotaro, later known as Shusaku, becomes the strongest player of his generation, the 14th Honinbo Shusaku, only to die at 34 due to a sudden illness. The bloodstains on the board are also left by Shusaku. Hikaru is taken to the hospital by ambulance, but Fujiwara no Sai inhabits him merely to continue playing Go, aiming to achieve the divine move that all players seek. The next day, Hikaru realizes Sai is still in his mind, confirming it wasn't a dream. Although uninterested in Go, Hikaru agrees to play occasionally, as Sai's sadness affects him. While Hikaru has other pursuits, Sai cannot interfere. However, having lived 1,000 years, Sai knows much history, helping Hikaru pass his history exam. In gratitude, Hikaru takes Sai to his grandfather's favorite Go parlor after school. When the clerk asks about Hikaru's skill level, he shakes his head, having never played Go before today. However, Sai is likely quite skilled. A boy of similar age is there, and Hikaru chooses him as an opponent. The clerk starts to intervene, but the boy has already responded to Hikaru. At this moment, the boy didn't know that after this game, his life would be deeply intertwined with this boy named Akira. Akira initially intended to let Hikaru win, but Hikaru refused. Curious onlookers watched as Hikaru mentioned he might play slowly. As he picked up his first stone, Fujiwara no Sai shed tears, clearly showing his deep love for Go. Hikaru found the first move under Sai's guidance. Akira noticed Hikaru's novice handling of the stones, but as the game progressed, he sensed something was amiss. Although Hikaru's technique seemed very new, his game was solid and impressive. However, his moves were oddly retro and hesitated at unusual spots as Hikaru searched for positions. To Akira, it seemed Hikaru effortlessly countered his strategies. Under Sai's guidance, Hikaru captured Akira's first white stone and killed 9 more of Akira's stones. Sai commented on Akira's talent, noting that those were stones Akira had abandoned. Akira remained composed in the center, but in the next moment, under Sai's direction, Hikaru made a move that left Akira stunned. This move was neither the best nor the strongest. It was a probe into Akira's next moves. Akira felt as if the player before him stood on a much higher ground. Hikaru played for a long time, and before leaving, he took a Go tournament flyer from the front desk lady. She shook her head, thinking it wouldn't be easy to win against Akira, whose skills were near professional level. Suddenly there was a stir behind her. Only then did the clerk realize Akira had lost. She was incredulous, especially since Hikaru had earlier claimed he had never played against anyone else. Akira stood there dumbfounded. To outsiders, it was merely a game, but to those who understood, it was clear. It seemed like Akira only lost by 2 stones, but he knew that the game with Hikaru was entirely a teaching match. Since meeting Fujiwara no Sai, Hikaru has been frequently visiting the Go school. However, he doesn't understand the Go teacher's explanations at all. His visits are more about helping Fujiwara no Sai get acquainted with current game patterns, and he even learned about capturing moves, which he didn't grasp. Hikaru often ends up wandering outside to clear his mind. He attends the Go school to learn the basics, making it easier to play with Fujiwara no Sai. During this time, the Tengen title match was being broadcast on TV, featuring a man named Koyo, said to be closest to achieving the divine move. His son, also aiming to become a professional Go player, is Akira. Akira is well known in the Go parlor for his impressive skills. Since losing to Hikaru, however, he has been reviewing their game, puzzled by the realization that Hikaru was playing a teaching game. Meanwhile, Hikaru enjoys his carefree school life, even visiting the Go classroom with Fujisaki. Although he couldn't understand the teacher, he remembered the moves played by Fujiwara no Sai. When the teacher asked a question, Hikaru responded with a move that surprised the teacher, who noted it was rarely used nowadays because it did not confer a significant advantage. The teacher then taught Hikaru about initiative in capturing moves and gave them beginner's game records to practice setting up a board. At this time, Hikaru noticed someone named Agu bullying a weaker player. Fujiwara no Sai, who watched the entire episode, was furious, believing such a player deserved no respect. He urged Hikaru to play a game against Agu to teach him a lesson. Unexpectedly, Hikaru, realizing Agu was wearing a wig, hit him with the Go box, causing Agu's wig to come off as he ran away. The teacher, having to address the conflict, asked Hikaru to leave the Go school. Fujisaki was also upset and accompanied Hikaru, who was expelled. Disappointed at not being able to play Go, Fujiwara no Sai was unhappy. Hikaru then took out a flyer for a children's Go tournament and decided to go there. At the event, Hikaru saw many children, some even younger than himself, and many adults spectating. Curious if Akira was present, Fujiwara no Sai pointed out a critical mistake in a game, saying one wrong move with the black stones would lead to defeat. Hikaru glanced at the board. The child had just made a move slightly off from what Fujiwara no Sai suggested. Hikaru sighed. What a pity, just a bit higher would have been better. Realizing his breach of the etiquette of silent observation, Hikaru was promptly taken to the office. At this moment, Akira was waiting for Hikaru at the Go parlor, hearing that he might have gone to the children's Go tournament. He immediately followed. The game Hikaru had interrupted was restarted for fairness. Hikaru felt embarrassed. As he left, he ran into Koyo, who advised him to be careful. Later in the office, Koyo saw the move Hikaru pointed out, a move not even many professionals had noticed. Koyo was impressed, realizing that besides his son Akira, there was another exceptionally talented child. He thought it was only a matter of time before this child would reappear before professional players. Akira, rushing out of the subway, locked eyes with Hikaru arriving from the opposite direction. Excited, he exclaimed, "I finally found you!" Hikaru recognized Akira and greeted him, mentioning he had just watched the Go tournament and was moved by the serious atmosphere. Surprised, Akira questioned if Hikaru was only moved and not serious about Go. He checked Hikaru's hands, which didn't look like those of someone who played often. Akira asked if Hikaru wanted to become a professional player. Hikaru shook his head, having never considered it, though he noted that Akira seemed interested and mentioned hearing that winning all the titles could earn 100 million yen. Hikaru mused that being a professional wouldn't be so bad. Akira was annoyed by this casual attitude. He stressed that no match is won casually. Players endure hard training, and some spend their lives chasing the divine move, often in vain. A painful existence. Akira couldn't bear the thought of losing to someone so nonchalant and challenged Hikaru to another game. Hikaru was joking since Fujiwara no Sai had only won by 2.5 points before, but Sai explained he was merely teaching, helping Akira improve because of his talent. Hikaru followed Akira into the Go parlor, where people immediately gathered around, recognizing him as the one who beat Koyo's famous son. The crowd made Hikaru uncomfortable, but Akira was used to it and started drawing lots. Hikaru drew black stones, requiring a komi of 5.5 points. Fujiwara no Sai guided Hikaru's moves, considering Akira a gifted child who could be mentored. Winning against the current Akira by 5.5 points wasn't hard, but a match against an equal would be challenging. Akira was clearly setting traps, but Sai saw through them and engaged actively. Hikaru, caught in the middle, was somewhat confused but sensed the tense atmosphere. Akira was genuinely upset. As the game progressed in silence at the mid-game, Akira suddenly bowed his head, muttering a concession. Sai noted that Akira realized he had lost and conceded voluntarily. Feeling the atmosphere awkward, Hikaru tried to compliment Akira on being very skilled and serious, but Akira didn't hear his words. Hikaru had no choice but to leave the scene awkwardly. Akira remembered a conversation with his father. As a child, he asked if he had a talent for Go. His father said it couldn't be seen yet, but Akira's passion for learning and love for Go was his true talent. Encouraged by his father, he has grown to this point, but now he feels there's an invisible barrier in front of him. Hikaru felt incredibly guilty and asked Fujiwara no Sai why he didn't show mercy. Fujiwara. No Sai explained that Koyo's talent was too strong, and facing such a serious challenge from a young player, he couldn't just play a teaching game. He wanted to respond earnestly to the challenge. Hikaru regretted his words, realizing that both Fujiwara, No Sai, and Akira take Go very seriously, unlike himself who understood little. Distracted, Hikaru wandered into the Go parlor and met Ogata, one of the organizers of the Youth Go tournament, and a student of Koyo. They had been looking for Hikaru. Ogata took Hikaru inside and introduced him to Akira's father, Koyo, who, knowing that Hikaru had beaten his son, wanted to test Hikaru's skills. Fujiwara no Sai, eager to face someone reputed to be close to the divine move, encouraged Hikaru to accept the challenge. Hikaru felt out of place in their world, yet he became curious about the game. Koyo's confident and stylish moves impressed him. As Hikaru played for Fujiwara no Sai, he was captivated by Koyo's elegant style. Koyo revealed that Akira started learning Go at the age of 2 and was now at a professional level. He never let Akira enter ordinary tournaments to not crush the dreams of other children, and he couldn't believe Akira would lose to another child. Hikaru was so distracted by Koyo's style that he forgot the move Fujiwara no Sai suggested and was mesmerized by the sharpness of Koyo's play. He impulsively copied it, but this led to a misplacement of a stone. Fujiwara no Sai was momentarily astonished, and Hikaru was also stunned, feeling as if he and Fujiwara no Sai had become one in that move. He feared Fujiwara no Sai had taken over his body and ran out with his bag. Koyo, observing the game's opening, commented that it was very precise, at least at a professional level. The final move was bold, whether good or bad. Outside, Hikaru argued with Fujiwara no Sai, who insisted he hadn't controlled Hikaru and was actually pleased, seeing Hikaru attracted to Go. That bold move was undoubtedly Hikaru's own. Just then, Fujisaki passed by and invited Hikaru to a school festival at her sister's middle school the next day. Hikaru verbally declined, but ended up at the middle school gates anyway, only to find Fujisaki hadn't shown up, probably thinking he had really refused. While wandering around the middle school with Fujiwara no Sai, Hikaru stumbled upon a Go stall. It was said that solving a Go puzzle would earn you a free Go book. Hikaru answered 2 questions correctly, and heard that the third question was so difficult that only someone at Akira's level could answer it. Hikaru decided to try it on his own without relying on Fujiwara no Sai. Suddenly, a red-haired person slapped a piece of gum on the table. This person openly mocked Akira, claiming Go wasn't as fun as shogi. From the stall owner, Tsutsui, Hikaru learned that the redhead, Kaga, was once a student at the same Go academy as Akira. Kaga had actually solved the puzzle with the piece of gum he threw. Tsutsui had been trying to start a Go club but couldn't find enough members. He had invited Kaga to join before, but Kaga seemed to hate Go, tearing up the Go book and saying Akira wasn't a threat. Knowing Akira's skill, Hikaru couldn't let Kaga insult him and accepted his challenge without hesitation. Kaga, impressed by Hikaru's spirit, suggested he quit Go and learn shogi with him instead. Hikaru retorted that Kaga probably quit Go because he couldn't beat Akira. Angered, Kaga challenged Hikaru to a game of Go, stating that if he lost, he would kneel and apologize. But if Hikaru lost, he must jump into the river for a winter swim. Unbeknownst to Kaga, Hikaru had the ultimate cheat code in Fujiwara no Sai. Kaga had his reasons. Being from the same Go academy as Akira, he was always second best, a fact that Akira had once witnessed. Kaga didn't feel ashamed, believing that there is always someone better and that he just needed to keep trying to someday surpass Akira. He was relaxed during the match, but his pride was hurt when Akira had once offered to let him win, seeing it as an insult rather than a favor. He wanted a fair win, not a handout, especially since he considered younger Akira a worthy rival, though Akira never saw him that way. Worse, he felt the only game he won against Akira by 1.5 points was because Akira let him win, leaving Kaga unsatisfied. Years later, Kaga faced another challenging game against Hikaru. Initially, Kaga didn't take it seriously, but as more stones were placed, his expression grew stiffer. Fujiwara no Sai recognized Kaga's skills, but knew they were not on par with Akira's. Winning against Kaga would be easy, but Fujiwara no Sai wanted to prolong the game, creating an evenly matched atmosphere. Just as Fujiwara no Sai instructed the next move, Fujisaki's voice came from behind. Hikaru turned around instinctively, placing the stone incorrectly. This mistake was significant. Kaga seized the opportunity to capture a large group of Hikaru's stones. Seeing the game turning unfavorable, Fujiwara no Sai had to switch tactics. Hikaru wanted to take back his move, but Fujiwara no Sai reminded him that in Go, each move is final, so every step must be considered carefully. However, they still had a chance to turn defeat into victory. Fujisaki, after hanging out with a friend, actually saw Hikaru at the Go stall. Her friends immediately gave her space to be alone with him. Just as Fujisaki approached, she found Hikaru playing another game of Go. Unfortunately, despite a strong comeback, he still lost by half a point. Fujiwara no Sai sighed. The mistake made earlier was too costly, but managing to narrow the loss to only half a point under such disadvantage impressed everyone, including Kaga and Tsutsui. At that moment, Kaga suddenly grabbed Tsutsui's school uniform, threw it to Hikaru, and decided that the participants for the middle school Go tournament would be him, Tsutsui, and Hikaru. The competition was set for 3 p.m. this weekend at the nearby Aquaman Junior High School. Aquaman Junior High School is nationally recognized, and Hikaru likely wouldn't have visited if not for the tournament. On the day of the competition, Hikaru went to represent Yeze Junior High School. He planned not to rely on Fujiwara no Sai and try on his own. At the venue, he encountered a classmate's brother and, worried about being recognized, he casually watched a game. The team was most concerned about facing players from Aquaman Junior High School. As they played and chatted, one player, seeing the game turn against him, purposely knocked the board with his sleeve, disrupting the game. However, Hikaru managed to restore the board without Fujiwara no Sai's help. Although this is not difficult for someone experienced in Go, Hikaru had only been exposed to the game for a few days, showcasing his remarkable talent. Fujiwara no Sai finally understood why he had come to inhabit Hikaru. Hikaru warned Kaga that there might be people he knew at the event, so they needed to keep a low profile. After sitting down, Hikaru noticed a timer next to him, a rule not present in Fujiwara no Sai's time. Each player had 45 minutes to think about their moves, and had to press the timer after making a move. The student sitting opposite Kaga saw his shogi fan and taunted him for not knowing Go, to which Kaga retorted that only the weak boast and threatened to beat him in 10 minutes. Hikaru played with white stones, and Tsutsui had black. During the game, Tsutsui held a Go book the entire time, which annoyed Kaga. He complained that Tsutsui's problems always started when he played directly from the book. Although not against the rules, if the opponent didn't follow the book's strategy, Tsutsui could lose. Next to them, Hikaru also had issues, like forgetting to press the timer. Their opponents laughed, mocking that one only read from a book, another had never seen a timer before, and the last was just a shogi player making up numbers. They were confident of winning the match. Fujiwara no Sai also wanted to play. 10 minutes passed, and Kaga had already defeated his opponent. The competition was best 2 out of 3 games. The opposing coach was consoling the other 2 students, pointing out that just because Kaga was strong didn't mean the others were. At that moment, Kaga came to watch Hikaru's game and found his play chaotic, as if just messing around. Fujiwara no Sai retorted that it was because he had been the one playing earlier, whereas Hikaru was indeed just playing around. Hikaru thought the Go board resembled the universe, and placing stones was like adding stars to it, feeling godlike with every move. Unfortunately, Hikaru lost the game. Fujiwara no Sai began to wonder if he had misjudged Hikaru's talent. Now, the score was 1 win and 1 loss. Everything depended on Tsutsui. Meanwhile, Akira was planning to enroll at Aquaman Junior High School. During an interview with the principal, he was informed that the school was hosting a middle school Go tournament. Knowing Akira's potential as a professional player, the principal asked him to join the Go club after enrollment, ostensibly to liven it up, but really hoping to get a free coach. However, Akira was still recovering from his recent defeat by Hikaru and doubted his own abilities. At the same time, Tsutsui turned the tables in his game, allowing Yeze Junior High School to advance to the second round. The second round began, and Aquaman Junior High School quickly stood out with a 3-0 lead. Kaga also won his second round match. However, Tsutsui faced a tough opponent and lost midway through the game. Kaga, observing Hikaru's game, commented on his creative but overly simplistic approach, which was easily read by the opponent. He informed Hikaru that the outcome of the match would affect whether Tsutsui could establish a Go Club, something Tsutsui hadn't mentioned to avoid pressuring Hikaru. Hikaru's opponent was one of the players involved in the game he had restored earlier. Kaga urged Hikaru to stop playing around and show his real skill. Fujiwara no Sai felt that Hikaru's talent was inconsistent. Halfway through, Hikaru realized he was outmatched and let Fujiwara no Sai take over. Seeing Hikaru tear up, the initially boastful Fujiwara no Sai became flustered, knowing Hikaru was frustrated at not being able to win on his own. It's painful to develop an interest in something, but not be able to win through one's own efforts. However, with Fujiwara no Sai's help, they could still turn defeat into victory. Under Fujiwara no Sai's guidance, Hikaru resumed playing. By the time Tsutsui returned, Yeze Junior High School had reached the finals. Kaga felt they might win and convinced Tsutsui to discard his Go book and play from his heart. The final match was between Aquaman Junior High School and Yeze Junior High School. As the game started, the principal brought Akira to watch. Akira recalled what his father's disciple, Ogata, had told him about Hikaru playing Go with his father. Although Hikaru had run away after just a few moves, those moves were flawless. Akira followed the principal to the Go tournament and spotted Hikaru playing, leaving him stunned. While Fujiwara no Sai was guiding Hikaru in the game, he told Hikaru that this game was for him and advised him to deeply experience his own moves and thoughts, essentially giving him a teaching game. Meanwhile, Akira was silently watching the game. Kaga had already lost to his opponent and guessed that Tsutsui would likely lose too. When he saw Akira next to Hikaru's Go board, curiosity drew him closer. Tsutsui, having abandoned his Go book, had been holding on for a long time, thinking he was going to lose until his opponent made a mistake. Tsutsui seized the opportunity to turn the game around and won. Turning around, they discovered that Hikaru had also defeated his opponent. Fujiwara no Sai noted that the opposing player was talented and had done well to get this far. Their coach consoled the tearful student. Hikaru turned to find Akira beside him, praising him for playing a great game. However, Akira was not satisfied and wanted another game with Hikaru. He confessed that Hikaru was his mental block and that he couldn't grasp the divine move without surpassing him, so he would no longer avoid the challenge. Yeze Junior High School was about to win the championship with a score of 2-1. However, Hikaru was recognized by a classmate's brother who pointed out that Hikaru was only in 6th grade. The deception was exposed, and Tsutsui took responsibility alone. As a result, their championship title was revoked. Kaga then revealed to Hikaru that the claim about needing to win to establish a Go Club was false. Through the game, Hikaru realized that Fujiwara no Sai was an exceptional player and understood that Akira's real pursuit was Fujiwara no Sai. Hikaru had now developed an interest in Go and wanted to start from scratch to catch up with Akira. 6th grade ended quickly, and Hikaru successfully got into Yeze Junior High School, joining the Go Club founded by Tsutsui. However, the club was not yet recognized by the school, and their posters were torn down. Even Kaga advised Hikaru to give up Go and embrace shogi instead. Go was a niche activity among the students, and they could only place their posters in unnoticed corners. Fortunately, Tsutsui brought good news. A chemistry teacher had given them a set of old Go boards and stones, giving their club a semblance of authenticity. Fujisaki also joined the Go Club, finding it interesting. As for Kaga, he decided to focus solely on shogi. Meanwhile, Akira had smoothly enrolled at Aquaman Junior High School, but ran over to Yeze Junior High School on the first day of school. He was surprised to learn that the school didn't even have a Go Club. He finally asked a chemistry teacher, learning that the Go Club hadn't been officially established and was temporarily using the chemistry classroom. Although their last competition entry was disqualified, the referee was looking forward to their next participation. Tsutsui is unsure of Hikaru's true strength. Hikaru always proves reliable in critical moments, yet he has never won a regular game against him. Fujisaki also finds this unbelievable. Just then, Akira approached, puzzled why Hikaru, with his skills, would join such an underdeveloped Go club. He had been waiting for Hikaru at the Go salon, and confessed that no matter whom he plays against, he is always thinking of Hikaru. Determined to surpass Hikaru, he sees him as his destined rival. However, Hikaru stated that he would no longer play Go with Akira, choosing instead to focus on building the Go club with Tsutsui and planning to participate in the upcoming Go tournament. Akira was stunned by Hikaru's refusal and felt shut out. But internally, Hikaru was also hurting, knowing he couldn't surpass Akira with his current skills. Akira, upon learning Hikaru was entering the tournament, resolved to face him, thus joining the Go club at Aquaman Junior High School. This was a huge blow to the club since Akira, possessing professional-level skills, would surely take a spot in competitions, leaving the senior students in a difficult position. For the students at Aquaman Junior High School's Go Club, Akira was like a formidable newcomer disrupting the already tense atmosphere of the club. Aquaman Junior High School's Go Club was well known, attracting many new students, unlike Yeizei Junior High School, which needed Fujisaki's help just to make posters that no one noticed. As a new student, Akira was pulled aside by a teacher for a one-on-one game, likely to save face for a senior beaten by a newcomer. Meanwhile, Fujisaki decided to join the Go Club, with Hikaru teaching her the basics. However, Hikaru was clearly not a qualified teacher. On the other hand, the coach of Aquaman Junior High School's Go Club, a Go player returned from Korea, noted that Japanese students were less enthusiastic about Go compared to Korea. Upon joining Aquaman, he found the students' skills comparable to those in Korea. He remembered Hikaru's game and considered him a challenging opponent, yet believed that Akira had a chance to win. In fact, the coach was no match for Akira. When a new student approached Akira for a teaching game, a senior wanted to play first. Akira, who isn't good at socializing, stuck to a first-come, first-served basis, which might not sit well with the seniors, possibly making Akira's life at Aquaman Junior High School difficult. Hikaru, along with Fujiwara no Sai, went to buy Koyo's Go books. On the way, he saw news of Koyo achieving the 10th Dan professional Go player status and winning his 4th title, an impressive feat. Fujiwara no Sai longed to play a game against such an opponent. Akira's life, however, became somewhat miserable. He joined the Go Club, initially not intending to conquer his fixation on Hikaru. The other club members were prejudiced against him, snidely commenting behind his back as he practiced alone, instead of playing with them. They thought it was typical of someone with a father like Koyo to look down on them. However, Akira paid no attention to his father's titles and was solely focused on challenging Hikaru and honing his own Go skills. At that time, a third-year senior in the Go Club directly challenged Akira. Akira thought it was just a regular match, but the entire club was secretly watching them. This senior was known to be the third strongest in the club, right after the president and vice president, and he was the player most likely to be displaced by Akira's arrival. Known for his good character and easygoing nature, many speculated he was seeking closure by accepting his likely defeat to Akira. However, not long into the game, the senior realized he was outmatched and conceded on the spot. Disheartened, he left, casting a gloomier shadow over the club's atmosphere. The new members who joined with Akira found the environment distressing, blaming Akira for the unrest. One of them came up with a dubious plan to challenge Akira, confidently placing a stone on the central point, Tengen, believing he could win by controlling this key position. Akira, perceiving his opponent's strategy, placed a stone near Tengen, quickly turned the tables, and captured the new member's stones. The newcomer had no choice but to admit defeat. Akira's prominence, however, did not sit well with some, especially the second-year seniors, who grew even more resentful when they saw Akira's attractive sister picking him up. Their faces contorted with envy, and one claimed he had a way to beat Akira, though surpassing him in Go seemed harder than topping their grade. Meanwhile, Tsutsui welcomed Fujisaki to learn Go. However, Hikaru felt that Go might not be suitable for girls. Fujiwara no Sai countered this, noting that during the Heian period, many women in the imperial court played Go, including famous figures like Sei Shonagon and Murasaki Shikibu. Outside, it was raining heavily. Fujiwara no Sai, who was astounded by modern technology upon awakening, remarked that umbrellas have hardly changed over a millennium, despite humans walking on the moon. As they discussed this, 3 students from Aquaman Junior High School plotted to make Akira lose and damage his self-esteem, suggesting underhanded tactics. The next day, the trio led Akira to a storeroom, claiming it needed cleaning before the middle school tournament, typically a task for new club members. Akira didn't mind and happily browsed through Go books on the shelves, finding one from the Showa era that reminded him of Hikaru. After all, his true opponent had been Fujiwara no Sai, whose style was archaic. Motivated to develop new strategies to defeat Hikaru, Akira sought to innovate. Then, the redhead senior suddenly challenged Akira to a game, insisting Akira clean the restroom while playing and not look at the board, effectively forcing him to play Blind Go. Blind Go is challenging, but the senior remarked that as the son of a top professional player, Akira should be capable of such a feat. He also suggested that Akira, given his skill, should be competing for professional ranks instead of vying for a spot in school tournaments. Akira knew he was not the strongest. He still had his rival Hikaru. Thus, he accepted the senior's challenge to play blindfolded Go, which is like playing while reciting from memory, a task many professional players cannot manage. The senior thought he had secured a win, but Akira showed no signs of weakness. 2 onlookers waited outside, expecting to enjoy Akira's despair. Soon, a second senior joined, hoping to see Akira frustrated, only to find his friend disheartened with fewer stones on the board than usual. Unwilling to accept this, he called in a newcomer to play against Akira blindfolded, threatening to kick him out of the club if he failed. However, Akira could visualize the board with his eyes closed. The redhead senior was actually nervous, knowing the newcomer's skills were less than half of his own, and his friend was already losing momentum. They expected a quick defeat, but the newcomer's poor skills led to meaningless moves, causing Akira to misremember the game. This was a case of a top player unable to predict an amateur's moves. The senior smirked, thinking Akira's defeat was inevitable. Just then, Akira's memory became jumbled, and the redhead thought he had won. However, a senior girl who had asked Akira for a teaching game earlier arrived and realized something was off. She saw that Akira was being bullied. She insisted Akira face them directly and declared that bullying could not be overlooked. She acknowledged that Akira's presence had dampened the club's atmosphere, but as a student of Aquaman Junior High School, he deserved to be in the Go Club and face challenges openly, not through underhanded tactics. Akira responded to her and sat down to play 1 versus 2 directly. Meanwhile, Hikaru brought a girl from the neighboring volleyball team, saying she played Go and wanted to join the competition. However, Tsutsui informed him that team competitions were divided by gender, so she couldn't join the boys' team. They needed a skilled male player, hard to find, making them envious of Aquaman Junior High School's abundance of Go players. After Akira defeated the 3, the ringleader quit the Go Club. The club president asked Akira why he joined, as his skills were professional level, and his presence only added pressure on everyone. The president wanted to challenge Akira, but other members were anxious, fearing he might also lose. So the president stood back, aware that Akira wanted to challenge Hikaru from the neighboring school. They felt Akira could have challenged him privately instead of in a competition, seeing his presence as detrimental to the club. Akira openly stated that Hikaru had refused to play against him, only announcing his participation in the tournament. To face Hikaru, Akira joined the club, telling the president that only he could match Hikaru's exceptional skills, believing Hikaru's abilities to be almost supernatural. To recruit new members, Hikaru and his team placed a Go puzzle on their recruitment poster. Surprisingly, someone solved it. Fujisaki witnessed it all and identified the solver as Mitani from Class 3. Fujisaki didn't directly invite him to the Go Club, thinking that if Mitani wanted to join, he would come on his own. Hikaru felt better but was concerned that Akira might join the Go Club at Aquaman Junior High School. Tsutsui dismissed this possibility, explaining that Japan has a special academy for training Go players called Go Academy, where students, known as insei, are prohibited from entering amateur competitions. Many insei quit their professional aspirations while studying there, and Akira had not even considered joining, clearly not valuing the insei path. Hikaru realized catching up with Akira wouldn't be easy. His immediate goal was to defeat players from Aquaman Junior High School on his own. Fujiwara no Sai suggested Hikaru should first try to beat Tsutsui. After school, Hikaru went to a ramen shop and learned there was a Go salon nearby, with a strong middle school player. Fujiwara no Sai urged him to play Go. So Hikaru followed a delivery person to the salon. There he saw a middle schooler just finishing a game. While they were settling the game, the young player cheated by stealing stones. Hikaru didn't understand why until he realized they were gambling with money. The boy took the money, put on his school uniform, and left. Hikaru recognized him as Mitani, the same person Fujisaki had mentioned. Hearing that Mitani had won a lot of money recently, Fujiwara no Sai encouraged Hikaru to bring Mitani into the Go Club, as someone so young shouldn't rely on cheating to win. He hoped a game between Hikaru and Mitani would guide him onto the right path. The next day, Hikaru confronted Mitani about the cheating he witnessed. Mitani didn't explain, but mentioned he just wanted some spending money. Hikaru then dragged him to the chemistry classroom for a game with Tsutsui. Despite complaining about being strong-armed by Hikaru, Mitani didn't refuse the sudden invitation to play. Tsutsui played with black stones, and their game began, with Hikaru encouraging Mitani to join the Go Club and participate in the middle school Go tournament. Mitani suddenly asked if Tsutsui was a deliberative player, which usually refers to those who take a long time to make moves. Observing Mitani's game, Fujiwara no Sai noted his clean and straightforward style with good potential, making it hard to understand why he would cheat. Having suffered from cheating himself, Fujiwara no Sai felt that cheating sullied the game. Mitani, impatient with Tsutsui's slow pace, tapped the board to trick Tsutsui into thinking he had made a move. Tsutsui, deceived, placed 2 stones consecutively, thus losing the game according to the rules. Mitani hurried off to make money at the Go salon. Hikaru then shared what he had seen the previous day with Tsutsui. Hikaru recognized Mitani's talent, but Tsutsui disapproved of his behavior, concerned that if Mitani could cheat adults, he might do the same in a Go tournament. Even if undetected, such actions are unacceptable. Hikaru resolved to correct Mitani, echoing Fujiwara no Sai's belief that Mitani, being gifted, should not go astray. Upon arriving at the Go salon, Mitani encountered a seemingly drunk player who appeared to be an easy opponent, offering generous stakes. The manager asked Mitani to play against the drunk, and Mitani agreed, betting 10,000 yen per game, a significant amount. However, he miscalculated as the drunk was not as harmless as he seemed, deliberately disrupting the game. When Hikaru rushed in, the manager assumed he came to gamble and invited him to watch the game. Hikaru observed that Mitani was leading and likely wouldn't need to cheat when settling the board, a process done at the end of a game to facilitate scoring. Go relies on mutual trust, and cheating during this phase betrays that trust, a despicable act. Fujisaki didn't realize the seriousness until then. Meanwhile, Mitani underestimated the drunk's ability, who turned out to be a left-handed fast player. Once he saw Mitani lower his guard, he switched hands and quickly made aggressive moves. Mitani didn't notice, but Fujiwara no Sai and Hikaru did. They saw the drunk subtly move the stones with his fingers, tipping the game in his favor. By the time Mitani realized something was amiss, he couldn't pinpoint when the manipulation occurred. The drunk had been playing dumb while cheating. Mitani's morale sank, and during the final board settling, the drunk tampered again, leading to Mitani losing by 12.5 points and owing 10,000 yen. Mitani emptied his pockets but was short 20 yen. Hikaru was ready to lend him the money, but Mitani chose to borrow from the manager instead. At that moment, the drunk revealed that tampering would bring consequences. Mitani understood that this setup was likely orchestrated by the manager, who probably knew about his cheating and intended to teach him a lesson, albeit unexpectedly exposed by the drunk. In the end, Mitani borrowed 20 yen from Hikaru, paid the full 10,000 yen, and left. Fujiwara no Sai sighed, regretting not having the chance to correct Mitani before he faced the consequences of his actions. If the drunk had won fairly, Fujiwara no Sai would not have objected, but victory through cheating, even if aimed at teaching a lesson, was not the right approach. Thus, Fujiwara no Sai decided to take retaliatory action. At the Go salon, people were discussing the strongest players in the country's history, mentioning Honinbo Shusaku from the Edo period. The drunk ridiculed this, calling Shusaku an old relic with no relevance today. Hikaru decided to challenge the drunk to regain respect for traditional players. He was concerned whether Fujiwara no Sai could handle it, but Sai assured him he would point out any cheating immediately and force the drunk to concede before the game even reached the settling phase. the manager hadn't intended to target Mitani specifically. When Mitani won games at the salon, the customers were happy to see a young player succeed, considering it like giving pocket money to a child. However, cheating was unacceptable, which is why the manager arranged for someone to teach him a lesson, even paying for it. After the drunk took the money, the manager planned to send him away but didn't expect Hikaru to return, challenging the drunk to a game. If the drunk lost, he would have to return the 10,000 yen. The manager cautioned Hikaru against being rash, but the drunk agreed to the challenge, requiring Hikaru to also stake 10,000 yen. Fujiwara no Sai encouraged Hikaru, leading him in the game. When the manager looked back after watching some television, he thought Hikaru had lost and was gone, so he made tea for the drunk, advising him not to target children anymore. However, he then saw the drunk staring in horror at the board, realizing he had been beaten midway through the game. The drunk muttered in disbelief. Was he really Haninbo Shusaku? Hikaru took back the 10,000 yen and planned to return it to Mitani the next day, inviting him to join the Go Club. Hikaru returned the 10,000 yen to Mitani and used it as a condition for him to join the Go Club, insisting that he not cheat in competitions. He planned a game with Mitani, but when Tsutsui returned, the atmosphere was awkward due to his disapproval of Mitani's cheating past. Fujisaki brought cookies to celebrate their team formation for the competition, but Mitani said he wouldn't compete, and Tsutsui didn't want a cheater in the tournament. However, it was too late to find someone else. Hikaru still aimed to beat Aquaman Junior High School, but Tsutsui doubted they could win even with a full team. Mitani nonchalantly dismissed the competition as just a middle school tournament, but Tsutsui remembered their strong opponents and his previous win being due to their mistakes. He feared Mitani might cheat, potentially tarnishing Yeizei Junior High School's Go Club's reputation. Meanwhile, at Aquaman Junior High School's Go Club, tension was brewing as the middle school Go tournament approached, and the coach was about to announce the competitors. The president decided to play a game against Akira to ensure fairness in the selection process, fearing resentment if Akira was named the main player. The atmosphere in the club was tense as the president sat across from Akira, who was solely focused on his future match with Hikaru. Surprisingly, when the list was announced, Hikaru was named as the third player. The coach explained that in Go tournaments, the strongest player usually takes the leader's position. However, some schools, knowing they can't win against the leader, assign their weakest player to that position, effectively conceding the match. Therefore, Akira asked the coach to let him play as the third player. The coach, having seen Hikaru play the previous year, believed only Akira could match him. The president, a former academy student who had given up on becoming a professional, had been easily defeated by Akira, witnessed by the entire club. When the coach announced the roster, Akira was still selected as the leader. Akira stood up to protest, insisting he had arranged to play as the third player, creating an awkward situation. Elsewhere, Akira's father, Koyo, met with an old senior during a title match. They discussed the new generation of academy students, lamenting their lack of strength. Koyo knew about Akira joining the Go Club at Aquaman Junior High School, but did not support his participation in tournaments, believing Akira's skills made it unfair. Akira confessed that he no longer cared about others' opinions. He just wanted to face Hikaru and admitted that his ultimate goal had been to defeat his father, but meeting Hikaru had changed his path. Koyo, seeing his son's determination to face challenges, stopped opposing his participation. Akira spoke with the coach, who understood his dilemma, but insisted that the strongest player should lead, especially as Aquaman Junior High School was a model for other schools, and setting a precedent was not an option. Although he sympathized with Akira's perspective, he maintained that as a school educator, he could not compromise educational principles. Desperate, Akira pleaded with the coach for an exception just for this tournament, promising to leave the Go Club afterward. On the day of the preliminary matches, tensions between Mitani and Tsutsui worsened. Despite Mitani's superior skills, Tsutsui remained suspicious of potential cheating. Meanwhile, other participants recognized Hikaru as the elementary student who had won against Aquaman the previous year, drawing attention. Hikaru was troubled, knowing it was actually Fujiwara no Sai who had played. Now, he focused on winning the preliminary rounds, aiming for a semi-final match against Aquaman. Curious about Aquaman's third player, Hikaru was surprised to see Akira at the tournament, who had joined the Go Club and entered as the third player. Akira's appearance caused a sensation, with some spectators mistakenly thinking he was an academy student ineligible for amateur competitions. His first-round opponents were stunned, and the Go Club members, aware of Akira's fixation on Hikaru, were keen to see Hikaru's skills in action. Mitani wasn't concerned about the players from Aquaman Junior High School and declared he would win against them. Tsutsui, however, made a sarcastic remark, warning him not to cheat. Unexpectedly, a senior from Aquaman mocked Tsutsui, claiming his previous win was just luck. She teased that Yeze Junior High School relied on luck and cheating, adding that Mitani was a discarded leader by Tsutsui. Tsutsui countered by acknowledging Mitani's strong Go skills and told her not to underestimate him. The president of the Go Club at Aquaman Junior High School approached Mitani to greet him, while the senior said they should focus on winning the first round. Mitani was surprised Tsutsui defended him, appreciating the honest acknowledgement of his abilities. Tsutsui told Mitani he was strong enough not to need to cheat. As the match started, Tsutsui noted Mitani's quick gameplay. Influenced by Tsutsui's words, Mitani played honestly and swiftly finished his game without cheating. He then went to observe the main match of Aquaman Junior High School and was surprised at the high skill level of their lead player, realizing that this player was also considered an underdog. Motivated, Mitani checked on Hikaru's game and quietly informed Tsutsui that Hikaru was at a disadvantage. He promised Tsutsui he would not cheat, hoping Tsutsui would win his match. Mitani wanted a fair match against Aquaman's lead player. Despite being at a disadvantage, Hikaru did not give up. Fujiwara no Sai was touched by the growth of these young players. The coach from Aquaman Junior High School, looking at Hikaru's game, had a complex expression. Tsutsui won his match, and Hikaru turned his game around for a victory, leaving all three players elated. The coach approached Akira, who had been playing slowly to calm his emotions. He informed him that Hikaru and his team had advanced 3-0. Akira inquired about Hikaru's game, but the coach didn't answer directly, suggesting Akira would find out when they played against each other. Hikaru was pleased to have won a match without Fujiwara no Sai's guidance, and planned to face Akira using his own skills in the next round. He knew he couldn't beat Akira, and regretted not being stronger when facing him again. While walking outside to clear his mind, Hikaru overheard Aquaman's president and senior discussing how Akira was bullied in the Go Club and had traded his resignation for the third player position to face him. This revelation deeply affected Hikaru. Fujiwara no Sai remarked that Akira had sacrificed his pride for this match. He was supposed to play as the leader but wanted to surpass Fujiwara no Sai. Shaken, Hikaru considered letting Fujiwara no Sai face Akira. Then, Fujisaki found Hikaru with a prepared lunch, mentioning that Tsutsui and Mitani were having a powerful match. She encouraged Hikaru to do his best in the afternoon. Hikaru, moved by Akira's determination, decided to let Fujiwara no Sai play against Akira, not wanting to leave Akira with regrets. When Hikaru returned to the tournament, as everyone took their seats, Tsutsui encouraged him to just do his best, regardless of winning or losing. Looking at Akira's determined face, Hikaru felt a tremor in his heart. Akira had been waiting for this day for so long that his hands trembled with excitement as he lifted the Go board cover, dropping it. Hikaru and Fujiwara no Sai witnessed this, clearly seeing how nervous Akira was. Fujiwara no Sai directed Hikaru's moves, and Akira responded quickly, as if he had rehearsed the game many times in his mind. However, after a few moves, Fujiwara no Sai suddenly fell silent, taking a long time to think, surprising Hikaru, who expected him to play a particular stone. Akira asked Hikaru if his skills had improved. Hikaru sighed internally, thinking, "You're already strong enough." Akira commented on how Hikaru's way of holding stones had become more professional after playing so long with Tsutsui. Meanwhile, Mitani was playing against the president of the Aquaman Junior High School Go Club. Confident in his skills, he used a fast attack strategy, hoping to confuse his opponent. However, after some thought, the opponent quickly counterattacked, pointing out that Mitani was too hasty and suggesting slowing down the pace. Mitani then considered his next moves more carefully. In Tsutsui's game, his opponent noticed Tsutsui's particularly steady style. Hikaru turned to see Fujiwara no Sai still undecided. Glancing at the serious Akira, Hikaru realized that Akira was endlessly chasing Fujiwara no Sai, and he wanted to see the gap between himself and Akira. So, when Fujiwara no Sai was about to announce the next move, Hikaru boldly placed his stone in a spot he chose himself. This move surprised Akira, presenting a novel approach, but not seeming particularly clever. As Akira wondered if Hikaru had a hidden strategy, both players continued to place their stones, with Fujiwara no Sai watching in astonishment. Hikaru's move was actually brilliant, but his current skill level couldn't fully capitalize on it. Fujiwara no Sai realized that he just needed to quietly watch Hikaru grow. However, Akira couldn't accept this. His demeanor grew darker as the game progressed, and he eventually slammed the table and scolded Hikaru to stop joking around. Fujiwara no Sai sighed, realizing Akira hadn't noticed that as he chased this illusion of him, Hikaru was already growing and preparing to chase Akira. At that moment, the coach tapped Akira on the shoulder, reminding him to play to the end and never concede prematurely. He had already seen Hikaru's games. The spectators were surprised. Akira clenched his teeth, sat down, and played faster and more frantically, eventually breaking down in tears. Only Mitani was confused. He had never seen Fujiwara no Sai play and knew Hikaru's real skill level, so he couldn't understand why Akira was so angry with Hikaru. In Mitani's game, the board entered a strange state. The lead player was challenging him, and Mitani didn't see the use of a particular stone. After several contests, he chose to give up, but the lead player claimed he had cowered. In such a situation, withdrawing first would lead to a gradual loss of momentum. Hikaru and Akira's match ended disastrously. Hikaru conceded, and Akira, with tears in his eyes, almost left the venue when he declared his loss. It was only when the coach held him back that he stopped to tidy up the board. After thanking everyone, he prepared to leave. Akira told Hikaru that his past self seemed to show the potential of the hand of God. Hikaru felt sad because what Akira saw was not him, but Fujiwara no Sai. This development was bittersweet, but also part of growth. Meanwhile, Tsutsui also lost his match. Similarly, even though Mitani was reluctant to accept defeat, he acknowledged his loss and bowed his head. Fujisaki, witnessing a 3-0 defeat, felt a deep sadness. For these young players, such a crushing defeat was a significant blow. Akira, too, was hurt by this, marking a crucial moment as he stepped firmly onto the path of Go. Akira's resolve broke and reformed. He decided to take the professional Go player exam this year. This decision surprised everyone at the Go salon, and they were curious about what had happened at school. At the same time, an NCC Go tournament began, with promotions that one could now play Go on computers. Tsutsui took advantage of a holiday to take Hikaru to the tournament. They discovered a large Go board set up for professional commentary. Hikaru, recalling his match with Akira, felt somewhat guilty, but also wanted to understand the gap in strength between them. The live commentary at the Go event was impressive, predicting the next moves of the players. Hikaru wondered what to do next. He wanted Fujiwara no Sai to play occasionally, but his unmatched skill level would surely raise suspicions. Lost in thought, Hikaru forgot to follow the live game and decided to walk around the hall. He took Fujiwara no Sai to see the new computer Go games. They saw a child quit a game in frustration after losing pieces, and a staff member had to apologize to the opponent, who turned out to be a child as well. The staff explained that playing Go on computers allows players to hide their real identities and names, and even invite players from around the world. Hikaru learned the basics of computer Go from the staff. The next day, Tsutsui found out Hikaru hadn't come to class. Mitani mentioned he went online, and Tsutsui guessed Hikaru was online playing Go, confirmed by seeing Hikaru playing online after the tournament. Mitani mentioned that they were at an internet cafe where his sister worked. Recently, Fujisaki also started learning to play Go. Mitani brought up the upcoming summer vacation and asked Tsutsui about the Go club's plans. Tsutsui said he had exams soon and would attend summer classes. He speculated that Hikaru would likely spend the summer playing Go online. Mitani decided to visit the Go salon again, and Fujisaki planned to attend a Go school to improve her skills. Next semester, she aimed to recruit some female members and participate in a Go team competition, inspired by the trio's teamwork in the last tournament. On the other side, with the help of Mitani's sister, Hikaru successfully found the World Go Championship Forum. He also learned from her that Mitani's Go enlightenment came from his grandfather and a Go teacher. Mitani's sister gave Hikaru special access to use the internet for free at her place. although only when she was present. Hikaru chose to play Go online to allow Fujiwara no Sai to appear legitimately, so he registered the account directly under the name Sai. The appearance of the World Go Championship Forum brought together players from around the world. Hikaru didn't know English, but it didn't matter since the game only involved playing Go. After registering, he quickly challenged someone on the world list, who turned out to be a representative from the USA in the World Amateur Go Championship. Many foreigners were training through Computer Go, and Sai's emergence quickly became popular among these amateur players. Everyone began to suspect that Sai, with such a high level of skill, must be a professional player having fun online. Hikaru, wanting to keep Fujiwara no Sai happy, decided to come online every day during the summer vacation. Mitani's sister took good care of Hikaru and helped him with English. When foreign players sent messages praising Sai's strength, Hikaru couldn't understand them and had to ask her to translate. She taught Hikaru how to close the pop-up windows. After playing several rounds with foreigners, not realizing they were amateurs in training, Hikaru decided to find a Japanese player to play against. He noticed a name from the last tournament on the computer and saw that this player had cursed at an opponent who had fled. Hikaru immediately challenged him. The match ended midway when the opponent conceded defeat. Fujiwara no Sai commented that the player was very strong, but acknowledged defeat early on, sending a message admitting he was an academy student. Hikaru was surprised, but since Mitani's sister had finished her shift, he had to leave too. The player Hikaru had played against was named Waya, an academy student preparing for the professional entrance exam. The exam offered only one opportunity per year. Waya was preoccupied with his previous game against Sai and influenced by the tense and anxious atmosphere of the exam hall. He saw Akira, who was calm, and everyone recognized him as the son of a top professional player. Waya talked with his friend about the impressive player he had encountered online, and Sai occupied his thoughts during the professional preliminary. Meanwhile, Sai's fame on the Go forum grew, and more challengers came forward. Those who didn't get a turn could only watch. Initially, everyone suspected Sai was a professional player, but professionals wouldn't frequently play against amateurs. So, everyone was guessing about Sai's real identity. Since Sai rarely replied to messages, people knew very little about him. Those preparing for the World Amateur Championship decided to inquire in Japan about him. The only person Hikaru responded to, Waya, noticed that Sai had first appeared online in July and was online during the day, seemingly not working. Recalling their previous conversation, Waya speculated that Sai might actually be a child. The Amateur Go Championship was quickly approaching. Waya had been watching Sai's games online for the past 2 months, noticing Sai's evolving playing style. Many foreign amateur players also came to Japan, hoping to uncover Sai's true identity. The referees were pleased. Organizing such an event was challenging, but seeing players from around the world gather to compete gave a sense of Go flourishing. Waya was called by his teacher to help, hoping he would learn from players from other countries after the amateur championship ended. It was mentioned that Waya had passed the professional exam preliminaries with 3 wins and 1 loss, the loss being to Akira. Waya wanted to tell his teacher about the impressive player online, but the teacher didn't believe professionals would play online. Waya thought Sai was even stronger than his teacher, but the teacher was too busy to listen. Waya then borrowed a computer from the staff next door to check if Sai was listed, but found no sign of him. Regretfully, he left, and just after he did, Sai came online. Waya watched a game by a Japanese amateur representative and noted that the style didn't resemble Sai's, who was much stronger. Waya guessed others were also searching for Sai. Indeed, a Chinese amateur player, after finishing his game, started looking around for Sai. Before Waya could talk to him, his teacher called him away for a practice match. The people at the amateur championship were simultaneously playing and thinking about Fujiwara no Sai. Meanwhile, after finishing their game, an American player casually asked a Japanese player if they knew Sai. This topic quickly spread across the venue, as many amateurs were looking for Sai. Most had either played against Sai or watched his games and held him in high regard. Their discussions caught the attention of the organizers. Ogata, responsible for overseeing the games, approached the Japanese player and heard about the online player Sai. The Chinese player told Ogata that Sai was an exceptional player, comparable to a professional. A Korean player added that he had a friend, a professional 7 Dan, who had asked him to look for Sai in Japan insisting that Sai must be a top Japanese professional. Finally, Waya pushed through the crowd, sharing that he had played against Sai a month ago and felt his style was reminiscent of Honinbo Shusaku. He mentioned watching many of Sai's games, each time feeling that Sai had become stronger, almost as if Honinbo Shusaku had learned modern Go. People became curious about this mysterious online player, turning Fujiwara no Sai into an urban legend. Akira happened to pass by and heard them discussing the formidable online player. At that moment, Waya expressed his suspicion. He believed Sai might actually be a child. He reasoned that Sai first appeared online in July, coinciding with children's summer vacation, and Sai's message tone sounded childlike. As soon as Waya mentioned this, the amateur players looked on enviously. Akira and Ogata immediately thought of Hikaru, but Akira had previously felt that Hikaru had lost his former skill level. Just then, a staff member brought over a computer, and Ogata opened it up, deciding to let Akira play a game against the online Sai, who was also online at the time. Hikaru had just finished a game and was receiving numerous challenge requests. His attention, however, was caught by a player named Ryo in the list, suspecting it might be Akira. Deciding to take a chance, hoping it was Akira, Hikaru wanted both to play against each other as he knew Akira had always looked forward to playing against Fujiwara no Sai. Thus, Fujiwara no Sai decided to test this opponent by using the same game setup from their first encounter. Akira froze, almost confirming the identity of his opponent. He stopped moving, possibly recalling their previous matches. Hikaru was somewhat anxious, worried about Akira discovering his real identity. He asked Fujiwara no Sai to change the playing style, which he did. It was unclear if Akira noticed anything amiss, but then Akira stopped playing, worried that continuing might affect his performance. He suggested rescheduling the match. Hikaru checked with Mitani's sister for a suitable time, and they set it for Sunday at 10 a.m. Everyone was curious about who Akira really was, especially since he was the first to challenge and invite Sai after gaining fame. Waya knew that next Sunday was the first day of the professional Go exams. Yet Akira accepted the challenge without hesitation, seemingly unconcerned about the professional competition, which frustrated Waya. On the day of the professional exam, Akira did not show up at the venue. Waya felt slighted, as if his efforts were being undervalued. At that moment, Akira was at home waiting for Sai, while Hikaru hurriedly ran to the internet cafe in the pouring rain. Akira had initially thought of Hikaru but felt it was unlikely. At 10 o'clock, they began their match. This time, Akira had the black stones and took the first move, eager to know who his opponent really was. Waya was greatly upset. An hour passed, and Akira still hadn't appeared, so he was automatically disqualified from the first round of the exam. Waya felt that Akira preferred playing online to attending the professional exam, disrespecting all the players who had worked hard at the tournament. Unbeknownst to him, Akira was engaged in a life-and-death struggle in the game with Sai, sensing a higher challenge than when playing with Hikaru, thus concluding that Sai could not be Hikaru. Akira made a move that threatened Fujiwara no Sai's position, but Fujiwara no Sai's next move stunned Akira. It was stylistically similar to Hikaru, but stronger than before. All the players were watching their game. Akira stared at the board, seemingly out of options and increasingly struggling. The black stones in the center of the board were being captured, and realizing a turnaround was impossible, Akira conceded. After the game, Fujiwara no Sai confirmed that the opponent was indeed Akira. Hikaru was curious if Akira had improved, but Fujiwara no Sai mentioned that it was he who had become stronger, and also told Hikaru that his own skills should have improved over the past month. As Ogata watched the match, he broke out in a cold sweat. Sai's ability to easily defeat Akira showed a level of skill that perhaps even he couldn't match. However, he didn't believe that Sai could be a child, as children, regardless of their talent, would show roughness and errors in their technique. But Sai played like a seasoned veteran. On the other hand, Akira was increasingly suspicious that Sai was Hikaru, but he couldn't be sure. He felt Hikaru was like an elusive presence, hard to grasp, yet the player in this match was mature, steady, and stronger. After the game with Sai, Akira went to his usual Go salon, only to hear from a customer that Hikaru was at a nearby internet cafe. Stunned, Akira got the address and rushed out, finding Hikaru online at the cafe. Suspecting that Sai was Hikaru, he approached and tapped Hikaru on the shoulder, only to find him reading manga. Hikaru quickly took Akira outside, guessing that Akira was suspecting him. He decided to play dumb and even complained about Akira always appearing suddenly. Akira felt something was off about their last game. Hikaru acted indifferent and claimed he knew nothing about any Sai. Disheartened, Akira turned to leave, saying he wouldn't appear before Hikaru again. This panicked Hikaru, who had always considered Akira a formidable opponent and was concerned that Akira was only chasing the illusion of Fujiwara no Sai. So, Hikaru blurted out, "If you keep chasing my shadow, someday the real me will catch up to you." Akira raised an eyebrow in response. "You think so? How about we play a game right now?" There was a moment of tension, lightened by a joke about chasing, and the aftermath. Not really. News of Sai had already spread widely online, and with summer vacation ending, Hikaru decided to stop going to the internet cafe to avoid his real identity being discovered. After apologizing to Mitani's sister, he left. As the summer ended, Hikaru could no longer play online. He let Fujiwara no Sai play against himself, but they had no go board or stones at home. Just then, Tsutsui brought good news. They had obtained funding from their chemistry teacher to buy a new go board and stones. At the same time, Fujisaki brought new female club members. Unfortunately, Tsutsui was about to take his entrance exams and couldn't participate in big tournaments. Hikaru asked Tsutsui about the cost of a go board and stones. Tsutsui said a regular set cost about 10,000 yen. So, Hikaru decided to ask his grandfather for help. His grandfather, learning Hikaru was playing Go, was supportive and planned to buy him a folding Go board. However, Hikaru wanted a traditional board with legs and proposed a challenge. If he beat his grandfather, he would get that type of board. His grandfather, confident in his own skills, doubted Hikaru could win. Hikaru intended to take the board from his grandfather's warehouse, the one possessed by Fujiwara no Sai, but his grandfather refused, citing rumors that the board was haunted and that it was a relic his brother had found in an antique shop. Fujiwara no Sai couldn't help but feel moved, reflecting on the opportunity to sit before a Go board after 1,000 years and wondering how long fate would allow him to continue. Meanwhile, Fujisaki also attended a Go classroom. People there knew she likely had a crush on Hikaru, which was why she suddenly wanted to learn Go. This made Fujisaki quite embarrassed. Hikaru played Go with his grandfather, who, remembering Hikaru had only been learning for a year, marveled at his exceptional talent and rapid progress. He then decided to buy him a Go board. Hikaru was thrilled to receive the board, and Fujiwara no Sai, unable to contain his excitement, circled around it. They started playing immediately. Since Fujiwara no Sai had no physical form, Hikaru had to place the stones for both, effectively playing a two-person game alone, and was thoroughly beaten by Fujiwara no Sai, leading Hikaru to angrily rant alone in the room. His mother even suspected he was losing his mind. After intensive training with Fujiwara no Sai, Hikaru grew rapidly, now able to beat Tsutsui with handicaps. Tsutsui sighed, needing to prepare for entrance exams and unable to continue playing Go. He wished he could keep playing, but he also needed to prepare for the next tournament, hoping not to suffer another defeat against Aquaman Junior High School. Hikaru accompanied Fujisaki to the Go school for practice matches. The teacher noticed Hikaru was completely undistracted by anything outside the game, focused solely on the board, and eventually turned the game around to win. The teacher, remembering Hikaru had only a year's experience, was impressed by his talent. Hikaru wanted to become stronger, hoping one day to beat Mitani. Fujisaki encouraged him to catch up with Akira, but Hikaru knew he was still far behind him. Soon, Hikaru surpassed Mitani in their games. Tsutsui was surprised. He knew this day would come, but didn't expect it so soon. Perhaps Hikaru could indeed fulfill their dream of defeating Aquaman Junior High School. After school, Hikaru went to a bookstore to buy English materials and ran into last year's captain of the Aquaman Junior High School Go team, who recognized him and called him over. The captain took Hikaru to a Go parlor, wanting to clarify something, essentially to test Hikaru's true strength. They started playing silently. Hikaru didn't let Fujiwara no Sai play for him. He chose to play on his own. The store owner served them coffee, and a bystander couldn't help discussing with the owner how strong both players were. The owner mentioned the captain was once a student player, very skilled, but the bystander noted that Hikaru was also quite good. After a round of play, the captain suddenly commented that Hikaru's skill level was roughly equivalent to the vice captain of the Aquaman Junior High School Go Club. He noted some of Hikaru's moves were very sophisticated and that he displayed great patience and endurance. Hikaru was embarrassed by the praise, but puzzled the captain further. The captain believed Hikaru had some skill, but couldn't see how it was enough for Akira to consider him a formidable rival. He sensed something exceptional about Hikaru, learning that he aimed to catch up with Akira. The captain remarked that Hikaru lacked Akira's resolute willpower. He shared stories of Akira's experiences at the Aquaman Junior High School Go Club, how Akira had endured much hardship in his pursuit of Hikaru. Hikaru claimed he would catch up to Akira one day, but Akira had already passed the professional Go player examination. The captain wondered, when exactly would Hikaru's one day come? In April next year, Akira will be a professional player. Top professional. Go players usually pass their exams in junior high and don't need to attend school during tournaments. Hikaru had thought that Akira's goal of becoming a professional player was something that would happen when he was older. The captain told him that next year Akira would only rise higher, facing professional tournaments where his opponents would refine his skills further. Hikaru, if he did not start catching up earnestly now, would only fall further behind and eventually be unable to keep up with Akira. Hikaru had never considered this. He thought he could catch up with Akira by simply playing Go gradually. The captain felt somewhat sorry for Akira for considering Hikaru, a lax person, as a rival. From the captain, Hikaru learned that Akira, except for forfeiting the first match, had won all other professional assessments. The day he missed was for playing Go with Sai. Suddenly, Hikaru asked about how to become a professional player. The three explained that one must first become a student player, and they were not optimistic about Hikaru's chances. However, Hikaru was also inspired to pursue a professional career. Akira had never given up chasing Fujiwara no Sai, even facing challenges with trembling hands, yet he still faced them head-on. Hikaru, seeing Akira as a rival, naturally wanted to catch up with such a person. Fujiwara no Sai encouraged Hikaru to start now. Thus, Hikaru went to Go Academy to inquire, but found out that the registration for the December student player exam had closed, and the next opportunity wouldn't come until March next year. Wanting to catch up with Akira quickly, this caught the attention of Ogata, who happened to be passing by. Ogata remembered Hikaru and recommended him for the student player exam next Sunday. However, the exam was not easy to enter. One needed to fill out an application form, pay a fee, and bring parents to the exam, plus produce 3 game records before the assessment. At that moment, Hikaru didn't even know how to write a game record. If not for Ogata's recommendation, he would have been turned away by the staff. Just then, Mitani arrived with a new club member, saying they could now enter the middle school tournament. Everyone was delighted, thinking they might defeat Aquaman Junior High School this time. Fujisaki also decided to bring 2 other girls to participate in the team competition. Tsutsui brought news that Akira had become a professional player. Hikaru was not surprised, and shared that he had met the captain from Aquaman Junior High School, who informed him about Akira. He expressed his desire to catch up with Akira by taking the student player exam and writing game records. Upon hearing this, everyone fell silent. Mitani told Hikaru that student players could not participate in amateur competitions, leaving Hikaru stunned. Mitani advised Hikaru to give up on becoming a student player and continue with the middle school tournament. Between winning a championship and chasing Akira, Hikaru could only make one choice at the moment, and it was clear he was wavering. Becoming a student player essentially meant quitting the club. However, Hikaru still wanted to chase Akira. Mitani was annoyed, pointing out that it was Hikaru who had brought him into the Go Club in the first place, and now he was considering leaving. Before Hikaru could respond, Kaga suddenly jumped through a window to hide, with the stern gym teacher hot on his heels. Everyone helped cover for Kaga. Kaga noticed that the Go Club had more members than a year ago, and it was livelier. Upon learning that Hikaru planned to take the student player exam, Kaga surprisingly encouraged him and advised Hikaru to stop worrying about the middle school tournament. Hearing that Hikaru's goal was to chase Akira, who had already become a professional player, Kaga told him to ignore all distractions because Akira was not easy to catch. Tsutsui also spoke up, telling Hikaru to go for it since he had a bigger goal than just competing. Mitani pointed out that Hikaru had not yet made up his mind and tried to pressure him into making a decision. Kaga stepped in front of Hikaru, telling Mitani that leaving the club was Hikaru's choice. He then asked Tsutsui to set up 3 Go boards, challenging Hikaru to prove his ability by taking on 3 players at once. Hikaru had thought about returning to compete if he didn't pass the student player exam, but Kaga told him not to speak like that. If he had decided, he should strive to do his best. Mitani also declared that he would leave the club if Hikaru left. During the 3-player game, Kaga insisted Hikaru play Speed Go, explaining that it was challenging to remain calm and think clearly in multiplayer games. The focus was on testing reaction and inspiration. As the game progressed, Mitani frowned, and Tsutsui realized he was no match for Hikaru. If Hikaru left to become a student player, Mitani said he would leave too. Tsutsui was also about to graduate from middle school, but Fujisaki decided to stay since Hikaru wasn't giving up Go. Soon, Tsutsui conceded, and Mitani was also defeated, losing by 6.5 points to Hikaru. Only Kaga was still playing against Hikaru. Mitani reluctantly admitted his defeat, but Hikaru and Kaga were too absorbed to notice. Only Fujiwara no Sai heard Mitani's frustrated admission. Despite Hikaru and Kaga losing the game, Kaga commented that doing so well in a 1v3 setup was commendable. After playing 3 games, Hikaru asked Tsutsui how to record the games. Tsutsui taught him to use different colors for the stones. Kaga was amazed because Hikaru had remembered all the game records and their sequences. Although Hikaru convinced the club members, there was still a major hurdle with his mother, as the exam fee was not inexpensive. However, his mother accompanied Hikaru, recognizing his rare passion for a hobby, albeit wishing it was for academics. At the exam venue, Hikaru passed by Waya. Hearing Hikaru mention using this as a stepping stone to defeat Akira, Waya turned sharply, but Hikaru had already entered the examination hall with his mother. The examiner reviewed Hikaru's 3 game records and found them too ordinary, noting that the opponent's skills were subpar. The exam would take about an hour, so his mother went downstairs for tea. Sitting straight during the game was required, and his mother worried Hikaru wouldn't last, as he usually couldn't sit still for 5 minutes. Waya discussed Hikaru with a friend, feeling Hikaru might pass the exam since his goal was to compete with Akira. The exam started, and Hikaru decisively placed his stones on the board. However, as the game went on, Hikaru's cold sweat increased, indicating the difficulty of the match. Fujiwara no Sai watched anxiously as Hikaru's last 2 moves were bad, losing the 3-stone advantage given at the start. It was tough for Hikaru, facing a professional teacher from Go Academy. Fujiwara no Sai wanted to take over, but Hikaru was fully immersed in the game, not hearing his advice. Fujiwara no Sai sighed, predicting trouble ahead. Hikaru also realized he was struggling in this game and was likely to lose if it continued. The teacher, noticing his nervousness, reassured him that losing did not mean failing the exam. Go was just a test of skill. Relaxed by these words, Hikaru suddenly felt his legs go numb. The game ended shortly after, with the teacher halting it since continuing would only waste time. The outcome was clear to all. The teacher thought Hikaru's skill level was quite good, especially considering his records showed he had only been learning Go for a year. He was reminded of a recent genius professional player who had also made rapid progress in 1 year. However, that genius had been trained by a professional teacher, unlike Hikaru, who had no formal coach. Hikaru felt guilty, knowing he had the cheat of Fujiwara no Sai. This explained why the teacher found his game records rough. Upon closer inspection, all games were recorded on the same day. Upon learning that it was Hikaru's first time playing 1 versus 3, the teacher realized Hikaru's talent and passed him in the student player exam, inviting him to start classes next week. Hikaru's mother, seeing younger children in the student group, felt reassured about Hikaru passing the exam. Fujiwara no Sai curiously looked around and saw Waya playing chess with a friend. They approached to watch. Waya, having heard Hikaru's ambition to defeat Akira, felt a liking for him. From Hikaru, he learned that Akira had participated in Go clubs and middle school tournaments and had insisted on playing against Hikaru. Everyone was stunned by this revelation. Realizing his slip, Hikaru quickly covered his mouth and rushed off with his mother. However, the news that Akira's rival was joining the classes quickly spread throughout Go Academy. Everyone felt that Hikaru must be a formidable opponent if Akira considered him a rival. But Hikaru knew that Akira was actually chasing Fujiwara no Sai, not him, a fact unknown to others. Hikaru received the tournament schedule where he needed to beat the second group to enter the first group matches. His opponent was a girl who suspected Hikaru didn't take the second group seriously. Embarrassed, Hikaru explained that wasn't the case. He planned to climb from the last place in the second group to the first. After all, Akira was a professional, a level above the first group. After Waya finished his game, he curiously joined the spectators around Hikaru and discovered the teacher explaining Go strategies to them. Hikaru lost the first game and the second as well. Everyone was puzzled, questioning how he could be considered a rival for Akira. Perhaps it was just first-day nerves. They decided to wait and see. Waya and his friend Isumi invited Hikaru to buy lunch, curious why Akira considered him a serious rival. Hikaru couldn't admit to having Fujiwara no Sai as an advantage, so he claimed that Akira had recognized his Go talent and preemptively considered him a rival. Although it was a lie, Hikaru stated that he would make the lie a reality someday. This brazen statement left Waya speechless. Waya and Hikaru discussed Aquaman Junior High School. Hikaru mentioned that Aquaman's captain was very strong, and he hadn't been able to win against him. Waya responded by saying that it was because Hikaru was weak. At that moment, another friend bought the wrong coffee and decided to give it to Isumi, the eldest among them. Waya and Isumi recalled another member from Group 2 who loved coffee, but had never moved up to Group 1 and eventually left the student ranks. They remembered he was from Aquaman Junior High School. Hikaru then realized both men were from Group 1 and the captain from Aquaman was the one who had left the student ranks. This realization was a blow to Hikaru's self-esteem. If such a strong player was only in Group 2, how could he hope to advance to Group 1 and become a professional? Hikaru lost 6 games in a row, ridiculed by Waya, who questioned if Hikaru misunderstood the meaning of a rival, suggesting they might not be competing in Go. Hikaru noticed that Waya was ranked 6th in Group 1. However, Waya had also lost twice in a row to Akira, feeling that once he lost momentum, it was hard to turn the game around. Another boy, Ochi, joined them, dismissing Akira's importance and focusing on maintaining his own top position. Ochi, younger than Hikaru and having joined 3 months earlier, had risen from the last in Group 2 to 3rd in Group 1. He planned to pass the professional exam this year. Waya also aimed to pass the professional exam before junior high ended so he could debut as a professional Go player in high school and not return to school. Isumi sighed. At 18, he was at the upper age limit for student players. Though one can try for professional status before turning 30, it still affected his mindset. Isumi had been the top student player for 2 years but kept delaying the exam for various reasons, never passing the professional test. This was difficult since there are only 3 slots for professional status each year. Meanwhile, Ogata noticed Akira had been distracted lately and tricked him into going to Go Academy. When Hikaru and Akira met there, both were stunned, but Akira turned and left immediately. Waya was confused about why Akira came. Hikaru was sure Akira had come to see him, but Waya thought Hikaru was overthinking since Akira had completely ignored him. Akira knew Ogata wanted him to meet Hikaru. Ogata reminded him that Hikaru was now a student player and to be careful not to be overtaken. Akira retorted that with Hikaru's skills, it was impossible, and he would rise to a level far beyond Hikaru's reach. Ogata saw Akira's determination and was curious about how far Hikaru could go. On the other side, Hikaru achieved his second victory, and his opponent was so upset that he fled. Everyone knew he was soon facing middle school exams and the pressure of the professional exam, so they understood his feelings. Waya informed Hikaru that Akira was about to participate in the new First Dan League, a competition between newly professional players and top professionals, essentially a debut match for newcomers. All new professionals were improving, and as student players, they needed to catch up quickly, or they would face opponents out of their league. The 3 went downstairs and met a titled professional player who was next to compete against Akira. This professional didn't seem to take Akira seriously, having heard that Akira was severely defeated in a game against another professional. The day of the match soon arrived, held at Go Academy. Waya took Hikaru to visit the Room of Profound Thought, a special area usually reserved for title matches. As the door opened, Fujiwara no Sai sensed a change in the atmosphere. Waya explained that this area was used to inspire new professional players. Meanwhile, a magazine was interviewing Akira and a professional player about the upcoming match. Akira was considered a future top player. the veteran player told Akira not to fear his title, as all professional players start the same. Akira nodded, agreeing with this sentiment, though the veteran thought him somewhat arrogant and planned to challenge his ego during the game. However, Akira was completely relaxed in the match, even making jokes, and had never been a student player. As the game began, many professional players gathered to watch, curious about the outcome. Although Hikaru and his friends had played 4 games with Akira, they had never seen him compete against others. Izumi and Waya had gone backstage to watch the broadcast, leaving Hikaru anxious. Fujiwara no Sai even offered to play for him so they could finish quickly and watch the match. Backstage, Izumi and Waya learned from a teacher that the titled professional player was taking the game seriously, indicating Akira's impressive skill. They started setting up a go board. Hikaru, refusing Fujiwara no Sai's help, quickly finished his game but was held back by a teacher discussing the topic. In the match, Akira shifted from defense to offense, using a strong move. The titled player, frustrated, bit his fan, a habit noted by reporters when he faced a challenging game. He then opted to retreat, showing confidence rather than confronting directly. However, the reporters suggested he was seriously contending with Akira, who was now putting him under pressure. Akira's mindset was simple. He believed Hikaru would see the game record and wanted to demonstrate his offensive prowess. It seemed Akira was determined to be number 1. Akira intended to use the game record to intimidate Hikaru, so he disengaged from the upper part of the board and started attacking from the lower half. Hikaru hurried backstage where Izumi and Waya reset the board for him and explained the current situation, saying the titled master was now serious. Hikaru saw Akira's move, recognizing that he wasn't just playing to win, but was aggressively attacking to challenge him to catch up. This strengthened Hikaru's resolve. Outside, heavy snow began to fall, adding to the tense atmosphere in the game room. Akira remembered Ogata's words, stating he didn't care about Hikaru's pursuit. He was focused only on the 500 professional Go players, not Hikaru. "Fine, you can support the sky if it falls," he remarked sarcastically. At that moment, the titled master unexpectedly made a move that disrupted Akira's setup, mocking him. "Who do you think you're facing?" Although the two were evenly matched at that point, Akira was aware of the challenge and began to sweat. As the game took a sudden turn, Hikaru watched the board intently. Everyone was worried that Akira might lose, but Hikaru firmly believed he wouldn't. Knowing Akira, if he started an aggressive attack, he wouldn't let the match end there. The opponent would likely take down the master in the final move. The game became increasingly complex. Fujiwara no Sai watched and closed his eyes. Indeed, Akira then conceded. Hikaru and his friends fell silent. Reporters and other professionals chose to watch the match on site. Waya and Izumi stayed behind, planning to attend next year as professional players themselves. Hikaru continued watching the game on TV without leaving. Waya and Izumi left first. Hikaru remarked that Akira lost to someone other than Fujiwara no Sai, but he would never forget this game. It was a spectacular match. Hikaru felt even more determined to pursue Akira. Fujiwara no Sai knew that if Akira hadn't met Hikaru, he might have confidently pursued his goal to become the strongest professional player. But Akira chose to demonstrate his prowess in that game, indirectly pulling Hikaru forward as if their meeting was destined. Waya was curious about Hikaru's Go teacher, knowing that student players typically train under professional players on weekends. Hikaru explained he usually studied game records at home, actually cheating by learning from Fujiwara no Sai. Waya argued that self-study without competing against skilled players was insufficient, unaware that Hikaru was exhausted from daily games with Fujiwara no Sai. However, Fujiwara no Sai agreed with Waya. Hikaru indeed needed to play more with other players. Coincidentally, Waya invited Hikaru to his teacher's study group, mostly attended by professional players. Hikaru initially didn't want to go, but Fujiwara no Sai insisted. Hikaru ended up attending on his day off and met Ogata there. Unfamiliar with what a Go study group involved, Hikaru was informed by Ogata that Koyo also hosted a study group, usually focusing on analyzing and discussing games, sometimes including title match records. Akira was also there, but Hikaru refused to join him. He didn't want to study with Akira. He wanted to compete against him. He saw Akira as his rival and knew his current skill level wasn't sufficient. Waya came over and Ogata informed Hikaru that in 3 months, there would be a Young Lions competition, a match between student players and professional Go players. Hikaru was eager to face Akira there. However, Waya told Hikaru that to participate in the Young Lions competition, he must be among the top 16 in Group 1 by early May. Hikaru then attended a study session hosted by Waya's teacher, where he met a Go school teacher named Shirakawa, who was surprised to learn Hikaru was a student player given he had only been studying Go for a year. Waya's teacher, Morishita, heard about Hikaru's goal to beat Akira and immediately praised his ambition. Other professionals also encouraged Hikaru to keep pushing. Despite Hikaru's bold claim about participating in the Young Lions competition, he suffered consecutive losses in the second week's matches. Fujiwara no Sai knew the reason behind Hikaru's failures. After another loss, Hikaru went out to clear his mind and overheard a player considering quitting Go to attend university. The player, lacking a guiding teacher, wished someone would tell him to give up. His friend encouraged him, suggesting a win might lift his spirits. Hikaru felt similarly, realizing he needed a victory to boost his morale and adjust his mindset. Hikaru continued attending study sessions with Waya. Fujiwara no Sai often pointed out issues in the games that the professional players missed, which puzzled Hikaru. Despite daily practice with the skilled Fujiwara no Sai, he kept losing in student competitions, worrying he wouldn't make it to Group 1 with only 2 months left. Meanwhile, Akira and others discussed Honinbo Shusaku, known as the strongest Go player in history. They mused that if Shusaku learned modern Go techniques, he might be the strongest today. During their conversation, Ogata recalled Sai from the internet, sparking curiosity about how Koyo would fare against Shusaku. Suddenly, Fujiwara no Sai revealed to Hikaru that his hesitance in games stemmed from a fear of his own potential attacks, as he realized the extent of Fujiwara no Sai's skills. This hesitation, manifesting in matches with others, often led to his defeat. To win, Hikaru needed to see his opponents clearly and attack fully, turning his fear into courage, much like Akira did against the titled master. After explaining, Fujiwara no Sai robustly defeated Hikaru in another game. Koyo's disciple mentioned that the professional Go community was eagerly anticipating Akira. Ogata reminded Akira that Hikaru would be participating in the Young Lions competition and asked if he was looking forward to it. Akira stubbornly said he didn't care about Hikaru, but surprisingly, his father Koyo still remembered Hikaru. In his games with Fujiwara no Sai, Hikaru transformed his fear into aggression. At another study session, Shirakawa unexpectedly invited Hikaru to play against him. Morishita, aware that Shirakawa was soon participating in a 10th Dan title match qualifier, was concerned that playing with a student might affect his judgment. However, Shirakawa saw it as a great opportunity to sharpen his will and help Hikaru, who accepted the challenge to catch up to Akira.